In the never-ending war against evil, warriors of all shapes and sizes rise to meet the challenge. But when darkness takes form, it takes more than just a simple man to strike them down. Like Shovel Knight, the Blue Burrower, and Samurai Jack, the warrior from the past. I'm one fish mob, and it's my job to see who would win in a fight. Out of all of today's indie heroes, little is known about the all-too-popular Shovel Knight. Did he come from a farm? Was he royalty? Nobody knows. However, what is known is that he was once an adventurer, searching the land for treasure alongside his partner, Shield Knight. However, while exploring the Tower of Fate, a cursed amulet took control of Shield Knight and disappeared with her. Distraught over the loss of his friend, Shovel Knight gave up adventuring altogether, wishing to never return to his old ways. That was until an evil enchantress and her just as evil order unsealed the Tower of Fate. Knowing that this is his best chance to find Shield Knight, Shovel Knight returned to his adventurous ways to save his friend. But in order for Shovel Knight to even perform such a task, he'll need a lot of skills. He's strong enough to casually shatter skulls and destroy metal barriers. He's tanked cannonballs the same size as him and is unharmed by exploding missiles and bombs. And he is fast enough to outrun and dodge most incoming enemies and attacks, including lightning. But like any good knight, he doesn't go into battle unprepared. He carries the Shovel Blade, a shovel-like weapon used for digging, attacking, and reflecting projectiles. It's strong enough to bust through stone and metal and can be used to poke off enemies by dropping down on them, or even creating shockwaves on the ground. But he doesn't just rely on a garden tool to win his battles. He also carries the Flare Wand to fire flaming projectiles at his enemies. The Phase Locket gives Shovel Knight immunity to damage for brief periods of time, and the Dust Knuckles can plow through stone and ice. He can also use the Chaos Sphere to send a bouncing projectile at his enemies, dash through the air with the Propeller Dagger, cross hazardous areas with the Mobile Gear, or just blast everyone away with his War Horn. And if he ever finds his chances of winning are faltering, he can use his Truple Chalice, used to hold Ichor from the Tropical King. This can either restore his health and magic, give him temporary invincibility, or attract nearby gold to him for a minute straight. And if he needs some extra firepower, he can use his custom relics. The Flaro Rod releases a cluster of flames. The Bait Bomb travels along the ground and explodes upon contact, launch projectiles with the Ghost Glove, and even create a clone of himself. He also carries a plethora of different armors, like the Stalwart Plate and Dynamo Mail. But his most powerful armors are undoubtedly these two. The Armor of Chaos gives Shovel Knight a larger range of attack with the Shovel Blade, and unleash a wave of fire. And the Toad Gear lets Shovel Knight dash twice as normal and allows him to shapeshift for stronger attacks. And if that doesn't work, he can use several abilities he's gained on his adventures. He can spin through the air to damage anything he touches, perform a flaming shovel drop that releases a wave of fire, and create a small explosion to propel himself into the air. The Dash Boots also increase his running speed, the Glide Cloud slows his descent and lets him glide short distances, and the Bounce Bomb lets him throw a miniature explosive at the enemy. Despite looking more suited for your backyard garden, Shovel Knight is a pretty tenacious foe. He's regarded as one of the greatest heroes of the land, won against Black Knight in all of their encounters, and even defeated both Kratos and the Battletoads. But don't let any of these feats blind you to reality. Almost every relic requires a magic supply which depletes it over time, and he can be somewhat stubborn. But don't let that knight fool you. He is easily one of the most prepared fighters out there, ready to face whatever comes his way. Long ago in an ancient land, Aku, the Master of Darkness, unleashed an unspeakable evil across it. None could compare to his power, but one day he was approached by one who dared challenge him. Jack. Though his real name isn't known, what we do know is that Jack was the son of an emperor who imprisoned Aku long ago. But after his return, Aku swiftly defeated all his opposition, including Jack's father, leaving his son the only hope at stopping Aku. And he almost did, until Aku did the dirtiest trick you can imagine. To save his own life, Aku sent Jack hundreds of years into the future where his rule was supreme. Now trapped in a world where Aku rules, Jack must now figure out a way to get back to the past. But in order to do so, he'll need a lot of tricks up his sleeves, and luckily, there's no shortage of that. He's strong enough to throw people hundreds of feet away, cut through robots and machines with ease, and can block and deflect blows from larger opponents. He can jump hundreds of feet into the air, and is fast enough to dodge concentrated beams of sunlight multiple times. He can fight for days on end, withstood electrocution, and survived atmospheric re-entry and a large explosion that followed. But he doesn't go into battle unarmed. He carries a heavy machine gun powerful enough to shred robots, a handgun to blow holes in enemies, and even carries an entire belt of grenades to blow up his foes. But Jack's most fabled weapon is his iconic sword. Forged by 3 gods to use against any evil being, it's completely indestructible and is tough enough to cut through adamantium. And aside from weapons, he's got a boatload of skills up his sleeves. He's a master of stealth, having infiltrated fortresses filled with guards and traps, even blending in with the light itself to render himself invisible. He's also very cunning and pragmatic, usually exploiting enemy weaknesses as well as tricking and fooling most enemies, as well as coming up with battle plans to claim victory. His will is also considered unbreakable, as he almost never gives up and keeps going despite having severe injuries. He's even able to resist mind control with this alone. He's defeated entire armies and other master swordsmen, can use seemingly every weapon imaginable, has learned fighting styles from all over the world, and is a master horseman, master navigator, and sailor, and if he needs an extra burst of strength, he can prey upon his ancestors for that little boost. And if something were to ever happen to his sword, he can summon a spirit sword in its place. Over the span of his life, Jack has accomplished many things. He's defeated entire armies on a daily basis, saved innocents from Aku and other threats, helped Spartans defeat a horde of robotic minotaurs, and once even freed the Greek gods from Aku and restored their power. However, Jack is a double-edged sword. He can still be injured and harmed like any normal person, and can be quite gullible with more devious opponents. Heck, he's even struggled with his inner self for who knows how long, even to the point of nearly committing suicide. But after all was said and done, Jack was finally able to get back to the past and defeat Aku once and for all.
Who else wants some?
Alright, the combatants are set. This battle will have no prep time, no outside help, or home field advantage. Let the battle begin.
Fight!
I guess Samurai beats Knight. Anyways, why did Jack win? Well, both were formidable fighters and both have fought powerful enemies. However, what ultimately decided this outcome was where each of their strengths lied. While Shovel Knight's strength mainly lies within his large arsenal, Jack's strength lies within his naturally honed skills. Jack has already shown himself to be naturally stronger, more than fast enough to dodge and counter Shovel Knight's attacks, and has already shown himself to be more than tough enough to withstand and survive most of what the old spade wielder can throw at him. And yes, while Shovel Knight's arsenal, tools, and armor certainly do give him a boost in speed, durability, and make him more unpredictable, Jack could easily realize this and quickly think of ways to counter or combat each of Shovel Knight's weapons and gear. In short, while Shovel Knight had many ways of keeping up with Jack, Jack ultimately had more ways to turn the fight into his favor. Looks like Shovel Knight has been edged out. The winner is Samurai Jack.